Hi guys, welcome to part 2 of my Wikipad review. Now, I've spent a month with this device, so I think I have a good feel for the ins and outs of it, and I hope that can help you out to decide whether this is a handheld that's worth your money or not. Anyways, though, when you saw it last time, I had not turned it on because it was just out of the box, so it didn't have enough battery left in it. But anyways, once I charged it up, I immediately went ahead and updated the firmware. And that's something that I need to warn you guys about right now because I installed, of course, the latest firmware. I downloaded it straight from the Wikipad app registry thing. Of course, it was the latest update for it, but I also noticed it seems to be from the first quarter of 2014. So, of course, this is a belated hardware review, so I don't think anybody was expecting that this thing is still updated. But I just wanted to say that that pretty much confirms it that I don't think this thing is going to be getting any more updates. One of the strange things that it also did is it installed this weird, shady app store on there, and I just don't trust it at all, so I haven't used it at all, and it won't even let me delete it, so I just don't know what to do with it. I was able to deactivate it, and I hope that all of my personal information is safe, but who the heck knows? This thing was really shady. I don't even know what the company is called that makes these sorts of apps. It doesn't even look like it's affiliated with Wikipad. Obviously, it had some connection because it came in with the update, but I don't know, I just don't trust it at all. Now, like I said in part one of the really cool things about this tablet is that it is PlayStation certified. So it has this PlayStation Mobile store, and I was really excited about it because I was hoping that, wow, maybe this thing has, PS1 games, maybe it has, some, genuine PlayStation games, but it actually doesn't. All it has is just this crummy little app store. And I was able to get some free games on it, Lemmings, Shuttle Quest, which of course I totally love, and then some other weird ones. This one's like a kind of a action RPG type thing, and otherwise it's really dumb. I could really live without it, but it has a really cool feature that it has a lot of Japanese like indie titles on here. It's really strange, but let me see if I can find this one that really piqued my interest. I think it was under casual. Let me see. But yeah, so it just has a lot of weird. I don't know if they're Chinese or Japanese. I think they're Japanese games. But let me see. Oh my god, here we go. Look at this. Pinky Spot's leg massage. Oh my god, it's for $1.99. And let me tell you, I have not purchased this. I have not purchased it. But if anybody wants to see me review it, let me know in the comments. And if I get enough people out there, then I will go ahead and purchase and review this thing. But look at this thing. Oh my god, it feels dirty. It's dirty. Um, oh my god, game, movie, web 2. I don't know what the heck that means. Either way, it's like a Japanese fetish game. Oh, and look, you get to decide between your ladies. Original, office lady, J-pop idol, Chinese dress, maid, nurse. Yeah, and then apparently it's like a touchscreen game where you're, I guess, massaging ladies' legs or something. Ah, Japan. But yeah, so that was like the best part of the PlayStation Store right there. That it just has a lot of apps like that. But some of the apps, how do I get? There we go. Some of the apps that it has are just plain dumb. Like, let me see. I don't know if I'll be able to get to it, but it has like a Flappy Bird knockoff, of course. Dong, which is a clone of Pong. I like how they have the D like that, as if it was like tacked on it as a P, and then it just fell through. Yeah, yeah. So a lot of these games, I mean, and the best thing is that some of them are like 49 cents. Like, yeah, you see this one's 49 cents, so you're not really losing much, but still, it's just a really, really stupid app store. I wish that they hadn't done that at all. But, oh well, it was a nice little diversion. Alright, now when you get this device, it comes with 4 games preloaded on here. Dead Trigger, Dead Trigger 2, Shadowgun Dead Zone, and some sort of hockey game. The Dead Trigger games, of course, they're free, so big whoop, they downloaded them for you. They also have this like Envision and Tegrazone thing. Envision, for some reason, it's not working for me. I don't know why. I think it's like just kind of like this little NVIDIA, I don't know, like news site or something where it just gives you updates. When you go into Tegrazone, that is really cool because it shows you a lot of games that run on the NVIDIA Tegra chip. And one of the disappointments, though, is that It does have. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to get this as well. It has. Where is it? Come on. Ah, here we go. It has Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. And so I was really psyched. I wanted to get this one. And it's one of the reasons why I got this whole thing, because I know that this is a powerful device. It's been eclipsed by other, handhelds, even cell phones, I think, now. But this thing is no slouch. It's still pretty fast and pretty capable for the device that it is. Unfortunately, though, your device isn't compatible with this version. Ah, that's so frustrating, because again, I wanted to try to play this game. I didn't play Knights of the Old Republic when it was new. I've never played it actually, but everybody tells me it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But unfortunately, I won't be able to play it. I have heard some people say that they have been able to get it to run on like a Nexus 7, and of course this thing is about the same, power as a Nexus 7. So I don't know. Maybe if you root this thing, it can play it, but I don't know. I'm off of it already. I'm just disappointed that I wasn't able to play that. Also, you cannot run games or download or install them off of the SD card. So the SD card, that's just external storage for everything else. I know that might be a bummer for some people who were expecting that maybe they could do that with this one. I think that there are a lot of Android systems that can do it like that. But either way, you cannot do it on this device, and that was kind of a bummer right there. Alright, let me talk about the touchscreen as well. The touchscreen is really good. I did not have any problems with it. I think it's a great touchscreen. I think the display is pretty bright. However, some people, they did take issue with it. They said that it's actually not very bright, and that can make it hard to play it, in an area where there's a lot of natural light coming in. If you're in a building that has a lot of windows, that sort of thing. And you know what? I have experienced that a little bit. I was in a building that had like a wall that was nothing but windows, and it was very hard to see the screen there. So you're gonna get a lot of reflection and that sort of thing. It's not gonna be very good. But I didn't really have any problems with it. I actually like it. I think the touchscreen is pretty responsive. And right now it's actually at its brightest setting, but even then you could kind of see that it's having a little bit of difficulty. It's just not bright enough, and it's really strange because they really promoted it heavily in all their promotional material, but I don't know, I just think it's an average screen. I should also tell you that, here we go, I love that little hat trick that it does, how you could turn it into a tablet. Anyways, I was trying to find screen protectors for it, and I don't even know if they make any anymore. So I just went on Amazon and bought like some cheap 7-inch tablet screen protectors. And so these are like really generic screen protectors I'm using. And unfortunately, you'll see that it's a few millimeters too wide and a few millimeters too short. So only like one or two. It's not really all that bad. But still, it's enough to where it's noticeable, and it sometimes drives me crazy. But hey, I bought like 5 of them for like $2, so I'm not one to complain. I like that I'm protecting it, and it's doing a pretty fair job. As far as the quality of the unit itself after that, one of the things I don't like is that it has this strip of fake metal. It's really just plastic, and so you can even see right there, that's where the little joint is where the plastics meet. And I don't like that. I wish that they would have gone for maybe, some cheap metal, maybe aluminum or I don't know what, but just something to make it have a little bit more build quality, a little bit more of a rugged feel to it. And because otherwise, I mean, it has some great quality to it. Also, I don't think I mentioned in the part one, this is a 16 gigabyte version. I don't think they made any other versions. And I like the back of it, that it has this like rubberized plastic on it, and that actually feels really good. I like it. I think that this thing actually has some pretty good quality to it. And another thing that I should mention is the speakers. The speakers are right here, and so that's where the sound comes out of the tablet. And unfortunately, on the controller, it has these little speaker ports right here, but as far as what I could tell, I could be wrong, but I think I'm right here. I don't think there are speakers behind there, because you'll see that, let me try to get a good angle. I don't know if you guys can see it right there, but inside of here, way down in there, let me try to do it right here. I don't think you guys can see it, but inside of there, you could see these little holes, which match the holes that are right here. And so they aren't really speakers that They aren't really speakers that, amplify sound or anything. I think all they do is it's just like, ductwork that makes the sound come out of here. And unfortunately, that's a problem because then that means that it's not very loud. It's actually kind of muffled when you play it with this. At least if you're out in the open and there's other sounds going on. If you're just sitting on the couch, though, I mean, I didn't have any issues with it. But another problem that some people had was that the uh, headphone jack, they said that there were some issues where they kept getting like interference and static and all these crazy sounds coming in, but maybe with the latest firmware update they fixed that, or maybe with the later versions. I don't know, but I didn't have that issue either, so I don't know. I don't know what those people were talking about, but maybe again it was an issue that the early units had. All right, now the controls. I freaking love these controls. Like I said, the D-pad, it's probably going to disappoint some people. For me, I didn't have any issues with it. I think it's great. It feels very sturdy. It does not feel cheap. Same thing goes for the buttons. They have this really satisfying thunk when you're pushing them down. That's something that I really like. I was able to try out the new 3DS recently, and the buttons, I just don't like. They're so small and they're very clicky. But these ones, they have this very satisfying thunk when you press them. Same thing goes with these, the little start and select things. But especially these face buttons, I love them. There's no other word for it. Then as far as the shoulder buttons go, they're okay. These ones are just regular buttons, and these ones are like analog triggers. But I don't know, with Android, I don't know if you're ever going to get used with the analog triggers. But as far as the unit itself, unfortunately, that's where it kind of falls flat just a little bit, because you always have to hold it like this with three fingers on this side, and then with one finger either working one of these buttons. If you do it like this with two buttons on the top, it feels very unbalanced, like if the unit is going to fall forward, because you have to understand that the unit itself is about the same weight as the controller. And so you kind of double its weight when you put them both together. And so it is kind of a heavy and unwieldy thing. And so it's always falling almost forward when you're doing it like that. So you really do need three fingers here on the bottom supporting it just to have a good feel to it. And that's really not a problem for me, because usually if I'm retro gaming, I'm using these and the right shoulder buttons like that. If I'm playing something that's like a shooter game, then I'll be using these analog nubs and then using the analog triggers. But either way, they feel pretty good. Unfortunately, though, I cannot get used to the analog sticks like this. For me, just from my experiences as a gamer, the DualShock controller is pretty much an extension of my hands. That is really where my comfort zone is. And these, though, I can get used to them. They're just too high and too far spaced. For some reason, I just can't get used to it. But again, I think that's just a problem with me. I've been using the DualShock controller and almost nothing else, so it just feels really, really unwieldy to me. But I don't know. Your mileage, it may vary. I'm satisfied with the controls. I do like them. Now let me show you the best feature on this device. This little button right here is a button mapper. No matter where you are on this device, no matter what app you're playing, no matter what app you're using, you can map these controls to anything on the screen. It is amazing. It works beautifully. And this little thing will pop up, and then you could go ahead and use, buttons, thumbstick, target. I'll show you what I mean. Because, let me go ahead and go into Thomas Was Alone. I've been playing this game. This is actually a really good game. I didn't expect it to be. I thought that it was going to be pretty dumb when I first saw pictures of it, but then I got it really cheaply. I don't know if I got it for free or for like 99 cents or something, but I got it at an absurdly cheap price, and it's actually turned out to be really good. But watch. Okay, so you see this one, it has physical controls and everything, but I can go ahead and use the button mapper, and then here we go. I'm mapping that button right there for left, mapping another button right here for right, put another one over here for jump, and you know what, actually, let's go ahead and put that, let's reassign it to this button right here, because, I don't know, just playing jumping games on NES, I like using the outer button right there. Anyways, so we already have the mapping right there, so we exit out. And now look at this. Now we're able to just use the controls like that. And not only that, you can even use a thumbstick. Let's pull this up again. And then with these, we're going to remove them. Let's get a thumbstick over here. Alright. Oh, there we go. Move this one so that it knows that we want the left one. Get out of there. And now look at that. This is amazing. I love this button mapper right here. I've used it on everything. Even on games like Monos, The Hands of Fate, which I did actually beat on iOS, and it was really tough because all I had was touch controls. But with this thing, it's an absolute breeze. I'm able to get through all the levels just without any effort at all. And maybe that's a problem right there, that it makes Android games a little bit too easy to play. But at the same time, I think that Android games just shouldn't have control issues, period. I was even able to get it to work with Smash Cops, which of course you guys know that I absolutely love that game. And some games don't even need the button mapper. Like on Sonic 2, I thought that one was going to be a nightmare because it uses these weird little nubs, but instead I just loaded up the game and it instantly recognized that I was using controls, and so I had no issues at all. Another one I found that works like that right out of the box was Age of Zombies, and that one actually works with the analog stick, so that was really cool. Okay, now as far as battery power goes, right now it's at 90%, and here let's just take a look at some of the statistics right here. With 2D games, it'll have about 3 hours of battery life at this point, and for 3D games it says about a little under 2 hours right there. And for reading, it says that it's going to have 9 hours and 51 minutes, which I think is very laughable. I don't think that it's going to have that much time right there for reading. The battery levels, at least with this app, they seem to be pretty spot on. I mean, video playback of 10 hours and 35 minutes, I think that's way too optimistic right there. It actually does consume quite a bit of power, and I noticed that with Google Chrome, it really didn't work very well. I don't know if Google Chrome is having some issues with Android or not, maybe with this version, I don't know. But I was not satisfied with it, so I'm using Opera instead. And that one, it works really, really well. However, it does eat a lot of the battery. And let me just look at the statistics right here. Alright, when we go up here, you'll see that when it's asleep, like for instance when I was out at work today, so between here and here, that's about 10 hours, and it lost about 10% of its battery, down to 90%. So for about every hour that it's in standby, it'll lose 1% of power, but when I left it like alone overnight or even for a day or two, it would just drain the battery very quickly. So I think that it has some sort of an issue like that. I don't know if I'm going to call it an actual issue, like a design flaw, but I was very surprised it was eating up power so quickly when I was just leaving it, on standby like that. And otherwise, though, it's pretty good. It's got decent battery power for a tablet. Now, let me tell you something. When I was at PAX, I decided to give myself a little bit of a challenge, because it was very obvious that I was the only person there who had a Wikipad. It may be one of only a dozen people who had ever heard of the damn thing. Anyways, I was the only one, so they had this sort of portable gaming lounge on the second floor where you could go there and just, lounge about on these huge oversized pillows and, just play your 3DS and Street Pass everybody. And I think that's what it's called, Street Pass, right? I don't know, I don't own a 3DS. But anyways, everybody there only had 3DSs. And I remember even somebody that I met over there, we were even trying to find people who had Vitas because he had a PlayStation Vita and it seemed that nobody else did. I think we only saw 2 there. Only 2 other people who had PlayStation Vitas. Everybody else, and I mean everybody that attended PAX, had a 3DS. Anyways, I decided to try out the portable gaming lounge, and this was going to be one tough task. Because like I said, everybody has a 3DS, nobody, and I mean nobody, had anything else. In the portable gaming lounge, men were measured by the size of their Miiverse, so I definitely did not fit in. But I decided to go up there anyways, whip out the Wikipad, and see what happens. I really expected people to kind of give me weird stares and glares, for bringing this weird thing over there. But to be honest, it actually was not a problem. People didn't really give me any trouble. In fact, people liked it. And I even noticed, in the reflection, some people were, looking at it, not with that glare, but with, a look of interest as far as like, what is this thing? Like, what the heck is he playing on? Somebody mentioned that it actually looks like a Wii U gamepad. So maybe people were thinking that. Maybe all those Nintendo fanboys thought that I brought a Wii U with me. But anyways, one of the strange things that I noticed was that, like I said, everybody had a 3DS. Everybody, no exceptions at all. But then once I took this out, I noticed that after a few minutes, a few of the girls around me, they started taking out iPads. That was really strange to me. It almost seems like if it just made them comfortable with bringing out a different device that wasn't, a 3DS. So that was very strange. I didn't think that it would make any impact, or I thought if it did, it was going to be a negative one where everybody was like, get out, sinner, people were going to chase me through the streets of San Antonio. So overall, the Wikipad, that was a big success to bring it to PAX. And for a few people, I even let them try out my Wikipad, and everybody loved it. Everybody who saw this, they thought it was a great idea. I mean, I'll be honest, they didn't really have that look in their face or the expression of, where can I buy this thing? Who has this in stock? They didn't have that expression on their face, but they did like it. They thought it was a great concept. Nobody was like, wow, you just blew $120 of your money. Nobody did that. When I got home, I tried out the HDMI Out, and it works really well. I like it that you just plug in the cable and then it outputs HDMI without any hassle. There is a problem with that though, because it doesn't turn off the screen, and I was expecting it to because that way it saves battery, but instead the screen just stays on and it mirrors the output. I could see why they did that. Maybe it's because they figure that if you're outputting to HDMI, maybe you're still playing a touchscreen game, so you need the screen to be on. But at the same time, I kind of think that it doesn't make sense, just because if you're outputting to HDMI, then I imagine that you're using the controls. I do have to criticize the guys at Wikipad though, because they did not include the HDMI out cable in the box. I had to go out and buy one. And unfortunately, micro HDMI out, from what I can tell, it doesn't seem to be something that a lot of devices use, and therefore it was really hard to find one at a good price. Even with all that though, I'm glad they included it because it made it so much easier to record gameplay with this thing. And speaking of gameplay, let's talk about OnLive. When I got this device, I heard about the OnLive service, so it really interested me because it's a great concept. It's pretty much Netflix, but for video games. And yes, I know, a lot of those games are pretty old, but I didn't mind that because a lot of those games I didn't get a chance to play when they were new, so it gave me a chance to revisit those ones that I've been wanting to play. Now, it even says on their website that it will work on the Wikipad without any problems. But after trying out their service for a few weeks, I gotta tell you, it sucks. It's a goddamn train wreck. The biggest problem is that everything is streamed, so there's tons of lag everywhere. Even on the front end, without any games loaded, it still has lag, because even that is streamed. Once you're playing it though, the quality shifts between pretty good and something that looks like it was recorded with a VCR. Just look at the Sonic 2 comparison between what you get with OnLive and what you get on the Google Play Store. So just like Netflix, you get those little moments where the quality drops and everything starts to become really hazy, but it's even worse on this one because then the controls start messing up on you. Look at this, I can't even jump on the box because the controls are all messed up. They also switched around some of the buttons, and that makes it really confusing when you're playing these. I don't know why they did that. But thankfully, some of you won't have to deal with those problems because sometimes the controller doesn't even sync up. Also, the OnLive app only works if you have a strong Wi-Fi connection, and there have been some times when it just won't connect at all for me. I still think that on paper this is a really good idea, but the problem is that the technology is way too young. I know that some people are able to use remote play with their PS Vita, so this idea might turn into something big for mobile gaming, but probably not for a few years. Needless to say, I will not be renewing my subscription. Okay, so aside from OnLive though, I really have been enjoying the Android games I've been playing here. And let me tell you, I've been playing some award-winning, beautiful games that I would have never played had I not gotten this device. And it's not just control games, it's, touchscreen games and puzzles and that sort of thing. This device is a great game console, and I'm starting to like it even more as a tablet. I like it so much that if it was ever missing or stolen, broken, whatever, I would probably replace it right away. It has become a permanent resident on my couch. When I get home and I'm exhausted, I usually just want to read articles online or play games. And this is a great device to do either one of those. Now, when the Wikipad was coming out, it was considered to be a competitor to the Nvidia Shield, even though it's a little bit cheaper and it runs on the Tegra 3 instead of the Nvidia Shield's Tegra 4. And actually, I hear that the Wikipad was supposed to have a Tegra 4 as well, but it was just delayed, so they had to sell for a Tegra 3 instead. Of course, the Shield did launch with a Tegra 4 in it, so it kind of makes me wonder if there was anything going on there. Maybe Nvidia did go ahead and delay the Tegra 4 just so that their own device could have it. I don't know, that's just the first thing that came to my mind when I read that. But even if that were true, when you consider all the fumbles that the Wikipad team had, you would be really hard-pressed to argue that that's the reason why this device failed in the marketplace. Alright, now I don't have an Nvidia Shield, so I can't do a side-by-side comparison between the two, but I did consider buying an Nvidia Shield, and I got this one instead, and that is for a very important reason. That is because if you get an Nvidia Shield, you will look frickin' ridiculous. And that's what I love about this device. The versatility isn't a gimmick. It actually is a huge advantage that you could turn this into a tablet. In fact, I mean, if I need to take this to work or something, the branding is so obscure, people don't associate it with a game console. I could just take the tablet to work, and I could, Skype with people, I could do whatever I need to over there. I even have Office Suite on this thing. So I could use this device at work, bring it in, and nobody suspects anything. Nobody's like, oh wow, who brought, their Game Boy to work, if I had these controls on it. But with this, I could take this anywhere and just use it as a normal tablet. This device is a game console when I want it to be a game console, and a tablet when I need it to be a tablet. And that's exactly what I needed in my life. Alright, now here's the biggest question of them all. Do I recommend getting a Wikipad 7? Absolutely not! Don't get it. Don't get this device. And some of you might be a little confused. You're like, wait a second, this has been a pretty positive review for this thing. You've said that you enjoy it, you don't regret the purchase. What gives? Now, don't get me wrong, this has been a fair review. I haven't concealed any of the problems that this device has, and in fact, I was ready to just rip into it because it had been so late into the marketplace, because it disappointed me so much. But then once I actually got my hands on it, it's actually a really amazing device. So if you guys have seen both parts of this review, and you're just as crazy about this device as I am right now, then sure, go ahead and by all means change that recommendation into a yes. Go out and buy it, because I'm pretty sure they're not going to make a Wikipad 2 or 8. I don't know how their numbers going to work now. But anyways, they're not going to make another one. This is your only chance to get one. By all means, if you're impressed with this thing, go ahead and get one. But the reason that I can't recommend it is actually for one of its biggest strengths. It's the physical controls. The reason that's such a downside is because of this. I will bet every hair on my head that if you are interested in this device, you don't give a damn about the games that are on the Android market right now. You're into emulation, just like I am. I'm guilty of it too. It has probably been driving you crazy that I haven't been talking about emulation yet. I tested a lot of emulators and they all seem to work okay. It's hard for me to really test it though because I don't have anything to compare it to. One of the big surprises I had was that RetroArch, it does not perform very well. And that really surprised me because this whole time I've been thinking that RetroArch was like the gold standard. But anytime that I would go out and just try to get my own free emulators on the Google Play Store, they all perform way better than RetroArch. RetroArch is a little easier to use here and there, but even then I still prefer Classic Boy and I think I'm going to buy the full version from them. I was surprised that with RetroArch even Atari and NES don't run right, and that's with all the other apps closed. PlayStation works amazingly well on this thing. N64 is a big headache though. It really depends on which emulator you're using, and I was never able to find one that just worked great for everything. I wasn't able to try out PSP because I don't think I had the right file format. Overall, the emulation is really good, and I didn't even notice any lag. But let's go back to the reason why I can't recommend it. The reason is because the true home for emulation has always been Windows. Android has become the darling child of mobile emulation because that's what it is. It's a very mobile platform. The reason people play emulators on Android is because it's a very common and very mobile operating system, and it's much more convenient than lugging around a laptop. But for a few months now, we've been experiencing a wave of tablets running full, undiluted Windows operating system. like the HP Stream that you can easily get for $100. And if you're into mobile gaming, I'm sure you've seen tons of Bluetooth controllers popping up. It's actually kind of funny because nobody was doing that sort of thing before Wikipad showed off its product, and I'm sure that after everybody got a good look at them, they all thought, hey, that's a great idea, let's steal it. And it's even more hilarious that Wikipad tried to jump on that idea and made their own controller attachment, but it only runs on iOS. Wikipad, who is designing your products? But anyways, just like the Wikipad itself, when you put the controller and the tablet together, it makes a perfect mobile emulation station. And you know what? I've even heard of some people being able to play AAA titles on their Windows tablets already. So unfortunately, no matter how much I like this, I can't recommend this device because I don't think you're going to be happy with it. You would be much happier getting a cheap Windows tablet and just adding your own controller to it. So, just like you saw with the GameStick before, this device was a complete failure as a contender in the Android wars. But, let me tell you what, it won me over, and that's all I care about. Anyways though, thank you guys for watching this, I hope I've been helpful, I'll see you next time.